No one expected it. A tiny puppy, barely old enough to fend for itself, suddenly became the protector of three helpless baby squirrels. Abandoned, trembling, and desperate, the little creatures turned to the most unlikely guardian. What happened next not only saved their lives but touched hearts around the world. In the middle of this quiet clearing wandered a small puppy, its paws still clumsy, its ears too big for its tiny head. It sniffed at fallen leaves, chased shadows, and wagged its tail at every fluttering sound, unaware of how alone it truly was. The puppy had no mother nearby, no littermates tumbling alongside him. His world was the silence of rustling leaves and the distant calls of birds. Though young, his eyes held a mixture of innocence and longing, as if searching for something: warmth, comfort, companionship. He paused often, tilting his head, listening for voices that never came. When the breeze shifted, the puppy sat down in the dirt, letting out a faint whimper that quickly faded into the trees. Yet even in his loneliness, there was a spark, a gentle resilience glowing in his little heart. He didn't know it yet, but fate was about to place something extraordinary in his path. Companionship would come, not in the form he expected, but in the shape of three tiny, trembling creatures who needed him more than anything. At first, it was barely noticeable, but soon three tiny shapes emerged: baby squirrels. Their fur soft and patchy, their eyes wide with fear. They moved unsteadily, paws trembling as they clung to one another for courage. Their nest had been destroyed, the towering tree above showing signs of a storm's wrath. With no mother in sight, the little ones were left to face the vast forest alone. Hunger gnawed at their bellies, and the cool air pressed harshly against their fragile bodies. Each squeak they made was a call for help, small voices crying into the emptiness. Together, the trio stumbled forward, noses twitching, desperate for warmth. Their tiny frames shook with exhaustion, yet instinct pushed them on. They weren't searching for food, nor for safety alone. What they longed for was something greater, someone to protect them, to shield them from a world too big for their fragile hearts. The puppy lifted its head at the faintest squeak, ears perking as the sound cut through the quiet clearing. Curiosity tugged at his paws, and he trotted toward the noise, nose twitching eagerly. Just beyond a patch of leaves, he stopped, and his dark eyes widened. Three tiny squirrels huddled together, their trembling bodies rising and falling with frightened breaths. For a moment, silence stretched between them. The squirrels stared up at the towering puppy, their instincts warning them of danger. One took a hesitant step back, tail flicking nervously, while the others pressed closer together. The puppy tilted his head, unsure. He had never seen creatures so small, so fragile, and yet so desperately in need. Instead of barking or pouncing, the puppy lowered himself to the ground, pressing his belly against the earth to appear smaller. His tail wagged slowly, cautiously, as if to say, "I won't hurt you." The squirrels hesitated, then inched closer, their tiny paws shuffling across the dirt. In that fragile moment, something unspoken passed between them, fear giving way to the first spark of trust. The squirrels lingered only a few steps away, their tiny noses twitching as they studied the golden-furred puppy. Every instinct told them to run, yet their trembling bodies carried them forward, pulled by an invisible thread of hope. The puppy watched quietly, tail thumping gently against the forest floor, his dark eyes soft with patience. One squirrel took the first leap of courage, scampering closer until it brushed against his paw. The puppy didn't move. He simply lowered his head, giving a small, reassuring whine. Within moments, the others followed, inching their way toward him until the three huddled close. Pressing their fragile bodies against his warm fur, the puppy let out a deep sigh and shifted carefully, curling around them like a guardian. Instead of pushing them away, he welcomed them, offering the only thing he had, his warmth. The squirrels nestled into his side, their shivers slowly easing. In that tender silence, a choice had been made. The puppy, once lonely and lost, had taken on a new role, protector of the helpless. From that day forward, the puppy and the three squirrels became inseparable. Wherever the puppy wandered, the tiny trio followed, clinging to his fur or scampering at his heels. At night, they curled into a small, tangled bundle of warmth, the puppy's steady heartbeat lulling the squirrels into fragile but peaceful sleep. Food became their greatest challenge. But the puppy refused to let them go hungry. Whenever scraps of bread or bits of fruit were found near the edge of a farmstead, he would gently carry them back, dropping the treasures before his new companions. The squirrels, in turn, learned to nibble eagerly, their strength slowly returning with every shared meal. And when the forest whispered its dangers, crows circling overhead, snakes sliding silently across the ground, the puppy's growl echoed like thunder. He stood tall, ears pinned, his body shielding the little ones without hesitation. What he lacked in size, he made up for with courage born from love. Each day, the bond grew stronger. The puppy had filled their emptiness with safety, while the squirrels filled his with belonging. Against all odds, they were no longer just survivors. They had become a family. One crisp morning, a farmer walking along the forest's edge paused at a peculiar sight. Beneath an old oak tree, a small puppy lay curled in the grass, 3 baby squirrels nestled tightly against his belly. For a moment, the man rubbed his eyes, convinced it was a trick of the light, but as he stepped closer, the scene only grew more astonishing. The puppy lifted his head, alert but calm, as though silently declaring, "These are mine to protect." The squirrels, far from scattering, clung closer, their tiny paws gripping his fur as though he were their mother. The farmer's breath caught in his throat. He had seen plenty of strange things in the wild, but never a bond so pure, so unexpected. "Well, I'll be," he whispered, awe spreading across his face. With trembling hands, he pulled out his phone to capture the moment, knowing instantly this was something the world needed to see. Within hours of the farmer's video reaching the internet, the world was captivated. The short clip showed a lone puppy curled protectively around 3 fragile squirrels, their tiny bodies rising and falling in rhythm with his steady breath. It spread like wildfire, shared across phones, televisions, and news headlines. Viewers everywhere were stunned. Some wiped away tears. Others replayed the moment again and again, marveling at the innocence of the unlikely family. "Proof that love knows no boundaries," one comment read. Another wrote, "If a puppy can protect orphaned squirrels, maybe humans can learn something too." Reporters arrived at the farm, eager to see the animals for themselves. Photographers snapped pictures of the puppy standing guard while the squirrels climbed across his back like their own living playground. Each image carried a message more powerful than words, a lesson about kindness, resilience, and family found in the most unexpected places. Soon, the story appeared in newspapers around the globe. It was more than just a viral sensation. It was a reminder. In a world often torn by division, a small puppy and 3 helpless squirrels had shown what true compassion looked like. And it moved millions to tears. In the weeks that followed, the puppy and his tiny companions remained inseparable. The squirrels grew stronger, their once shaking legs steady as they darted about, always returning to the warmth of their unlikely guardian. The puppy, no longer lonely, found his purpose in protecting them. Families visited just to witness the bond, children pointing in awe as the animals played together in the grass. To the world, they had become a living symbol that love and loyalty can cross every boundary. Even between species. As the sun set over the fields, the puppy curled up once more, 3 little shapes pressed tightly against his side. And in that simple image, the world found hope.